Alright, buckle up, folks. Hollywood's playing the nostalgia card again. Reboots, revivals, you name it. It's like they've got to bring back the classics bingo going on. And guess what's on the menu this time? Good Burger 2. Sizzling hot and ready to stream on Paramount Plus right now. This isn't the first revival movie of a beloved Nickelodeon IP from Paramount Plus this year, though. No, this year we also had Zoey 102, the revival movie of Zoey 101, obviously. However, that movie wasn't the greatest attempt at reviving the series, so I'm very curious to see how this movie will fare. Dust off your orange VHS tapes because today we're going to be reviewing the sequel to the 1997 cult classic original movie, Good Burger. Let's rewind for a second and talk about what exactly Good Burger is. The roots of Good Burger trace back to the sketch comedy show All That on Nickelodeon. It was by far the most popular sketch from the show, gaining a cult following which then led to the movie. Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell, arguably one of the best duos from the 90s, brought to life the quirky characters of Ed and Dexter, two dudes working at the weirdest fast food joint you could imagine. In 1997, the movie was released in theaters and instantly became a hit with kids everywhere. Me personally, despite not watching the movie in theaters, I did in fact grow up with the movie. And I really don't understand how. I might have had the VHS tape, maybe it was through reruns, but I remember having really early memories of Good Burger and treating it like movies such as The Aristocats and Ice Age, movies I know for a fact I owned physically as a kid and watched on repeat over and over again. So looking back, I must have had the tape because the memories I have with it are extremely strong. I get all bubbly inside whenever I see that 90s CGI logo. As for my thoughts on the movie now, for better or for worse, this definitely is a 90s kids movie. Very few movies represent the state of 90s children's entertainment better than this one. Some of it is genuinely really funny.
Is it because I'm black?
Other parts of it is, well, ridiculous, but even in those ridiculous moments comes some pretty solid stuff. I don't personally believe it holds up too well, but I think that's also why I still really like it, because I think that 90s charm makes it an enjoyable experience. It's definitely one of my favorite things to come from 90s Nickelodeon, so I was very intrigued to see what this new movie would be like. By the way, just like the other new movies I reviewed on this channel, this is a non-spoiler review. I want all of you to get the chance to experience this without knowing too much ahead of time. To start things off, Good Burger 2 takes place over 20 years after the original, obviously. It starts off focusing on Kenan Thompson's character Dexter, who has become a not-so-successful inventor. After one of his latest gadgets goes wrong, he has no choice but to call up his good friend, and I mean that loosely, Ed, who he apparently hasn't seen in over 5 years. It's revealed that unlike his friend Dexter, Ed has gone on to become really successful, despite the fact that he stayed at Good Burger this entire time. He actually ended up purchasing the establishment, which, sure, makes sense. There's another insane reveal with Ed that I don't want to bring up now because although they did slightly allude to it in the trailer, it was so quick that you probably missed it. And it's just so bizarre, I need you to watch it and experience it on your own. Dexter ends up working for Good Burger again since he's practically out of money at this point, and his desperation for cash is actually one of the driving forces of the plot. You see, for the past few years, there's been this lawyer dude named Cecil, played by Lil Rel Howery, who's lost a lot of weight, by the way, wow, that has been trying to convince Ed to sell Good Burger to him. But due to his love for the restaurant, Ed has always refused. Later though, Cecil contacts Dexter, who has been looking for some new ways to make cash after his invention company shut down. He tells him that as Ed's best friend, he should be the one to convince Ed to sell Good Burger. In exchange, he offered him an undisclosed but presumably high amount of cash, assuming Ed agrees. And after successfully convincing Ed to sell the restaurant to Cecil, it turns out that he actually worked for a company named Megacorp, which is one of the most generic names ever, and swindled Ed and Dexter into giving him the keys to the restaurant. Megacorp's main goal is to eliminate employees out of the fast food equation and replace them all with robots to produce food at a higher rate so they don't have to pay anyone. Realizing the mistake that he's made, Dexter, with the help of Ed, must take down Megacorp once and for all and get their Good Burger back. Now, Is the movie good?
No?
I mean, look, to me, there was no world where this movie turned out to be objectively good. There just wasn't. Good Burger started off as, and in my opinion is at its best, when it's a simple comedy sketch on a children's show that lasts maybe 5 minutes at most. Even the first movie theoretically shouldn't have worked, and you could make the argument that it actually didn't because, let's be real, it's not the most well-received movie out there. But at the very least, the movie felt self-aware that it was pretty ridiculous. Plus, Kenan and Kel were both teenagers still, so there was a certain element of charm with both characters. You could always just say, hey, at the end of the day, it's a silly, fun kids movie. This film, on the other hand, is not a kids movie. It becomes pretty clear within the first 15 minutes that although parents could choose to show their kids this without it being an issue, this really is meant for the people that grew up with the original film. And so now, with Kenan and Kel being 25 years older, you can't just repeat the same things that worked in the first movie. But the thing is, they kinda do. And it's really weird because in the movie you have these grown adults going through grown adult problems, but then you have a 15-second fart joke. The movie was at its best when it was establishing where all of these characters ended up, but once the second act hits, the movie falls apart and never picks itself back together, unfortunately. It got real boring real fast. The actual plot and the way they go about executing it is really goofy, but not goofy like, oh yeah, this is fun goofy. No, this is different. It's goofy, but lifeless. Almost like it was written by an AI that never felt human emotion, but is just taking a guess at what it feels like. And speaking of emotion, this movie lacks the heart that the first one had. That scene with Dex and Ed on top of the Good Burger restaurant still holds up really well, but there wasn't really any moments like that in this one. Sure, you could argue they captured the zaniness of 90s Nickelodeon, but at what cost? This isn't the 90s anymore. Snick hasn't been a thing in years. Clarissa stopped explaining things a while ago. Nobody wants to salute their shorts anymore, and people are no longer afraid of the dark. Space cases. I mean, the tricky thing with the Good Burger sequel is that you don't want to strip it from what made the first one special for a lot of people, but at the same time, those same things that made it special only worked 25 years ago. But I don't want it to seem like the movie doesn't have any redeeming qualities because that just wouldn't be true. Kenan and Kel's chemistry is still unmatched, and it has been for the past couple of decades. Kel especially killed it as Ed in this movie. And for what it's worth, I did chuckle a few times during my watch. There were some legitimately funny scenes. And one of the best elements of the movie, in my opinion, is actually the new characters, specifically the ones that actually work at Good Burger. Those guys were really likable to the point where I wouldn't mind watching a spin-off series just about them. There are also some really good celebrity cameos in this that I did not know about ahead of time, so it was a real nice surprise seeing them. Funny enough, arguably the best thing to come from this movie is the Arby's tie-in meal they made where you can actually buy a good burger, some good fries, and a good shake. I think it's actually still around, so if you get a chance, go over there. I promise you, Arby's actually cooked with this one. But yeah man, Good Burger 2 unfortunately is not a good movie, at least to me. I'll give it 2 out of 5. Maybe you will find enjoyment in this, you never know. These were just my thoughts on it, of course. But enough from me. I would like to know your thoughts on Good Burger 2. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new, and like always, I am Mr. Nostalgia, and I'm out for now. Peace.